We just got out of watching A Monster Calls, the new family movie.
Family movie?
With,
Is it really a family movie?
I think so.
I wouldn't take my family to see this.
They would look at you weird if you took them to see this, because they would ask, like, do you want us to get cancer? It stars Lewis MacDougall as this little kid in England, because that's the accent, I guess.
Yeah.
And his mom, played by Felicity Jones, she has terminal illness, and he has to deal with his shitty, grumpy-ass grandma, played by Sigourney Weaver.
Fucking Ripley.
Yeah. And then the kid has this active imagination, and one of his creations comes to life, this giant Groot-looking monster played by Liam Neeson.
Voiced by Liam Neeson. It's not like Liam Neeson in a monster costume.
I really wish it was Liam Neeson. It did look like Liam Neeson, though.
I wish
it could have been mocap. Yeah. You don't know.
You know how we felt in the Man Down review when it was like, I don't.
Were you nervous?
I'm so nervous to hear what you're about to say.
I don't think it's that bad.
What did you think of this movie?
It's okay.
I really like this movie.
This, to me, felt like it wants to be Guillermo del Toro, but it's not, because the writing's just not there.
I could see that, but like, I mean, we're talking like Pan's Labyrinth, Guillermo del Toro, not like Pacific Rim del Toro. Although this did kind of like move like the monsters from.
It did. I am Groot. Sorry, I just needed to get that one out of the way. Del Toro often makes supernatural movies that have more of a human story and moral, like Pan's Labyrinth, or a couple of years ago with Crimson Peak.
Yeah.
So I felt like this was going for the same vibe. It's just that some of the writing's a little corny.
Yeah.
The acting for the most part is okay, but some of the stuff they have.
I thought the kid was really good. Toby Kebbell, who I always think is underrated. He was really good in this movie.
He was pretty good, yeah.
Felicity Jones is good. Sigourney Weaver
has some good shit.
Her performance gets better as the character goes on across the movie.
I think her performance is enjoyable from, like, she's such a bitch to her grandson at the beginning, but it's kind of laughable. Unlike something like Manchester by the Sea that came out last year and handled it really well to where you felt those were real people, these definitely feel like movie characters, and they act like movie characters.
It kind of felt sort of fairy tale-esque to me. But
yeah, I was willing to let them slide for a lot of it, and then there's some shit that happens with the kid that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and then with the mom that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and then eventually I feel like this is gonna work better maybe as one of those dark kids movies that you're not really supposed to see when you're 7, but
it's like fucked up BT.
I feel like this is gonna be some kid's version of something like Land Before Time, or again Secret of Nim, that's like a little darker than your regular kids fare, but it still works for that audience. There are some people kind of like sobbing in the theater, but
you're laughing your ass off. I swear to God, whenever Daniel goes to comedies, like when we go see like Why Him, or like
I liked Why Him.
I know, but like in the movie, like I'm laughing my ass off, and I look over and you're like, huh, you're kind of chuckling. But when I see like this movie, or like Nocturnal Animals, or like American Pastoral, he's sitting there like literally like the seat is shaking. He's laughing so hard, and he's trying to cover it up.
Spoiler alert. We're going to talk about all the shit in this movie. If you haven't seen this yet, scroll to the time code to find out our final thoughts and official scores out of 6 stars. Just letting you know, we're going into it now.
9/11.
He just snaps because his mom is dying, and he like kills the bully at school.
Yeah, he doesn't kill the bully.
He should have, is what I'm saying. That would have been cool.
That would have been cool.
There's a good chunk of this movie that's filmed like a horror film.
Yeah.
Down to whenever the kid ends up seeing the monster, you look at the time and it's always 12:07 when he sees the monster. Yeah, and then there's
the point where he's in the hospital and it says 17:02.
That's a nitpick, and I thought that was really weird. Because I get it, maybe he's operating.
I was always like, why they just suddenly switch to military time? That's really stupid.
It's England.
That was the ploy.
They are different people.
No, it's so odd, because maybe the clock's in his house, because it's 12:07 at night or 12:07 in the daytime. It doesn't matter. But it's so weird that like on one clock it's military time, and then the other clock's kind of assumed just the 12-hour schedule. It's weird. That whole supernatural shit happening when the clock turns a certain time, it was so Amityville. You remember that shit?
I haven't seen Amityville in years.
I haven't seen Amityville.
Like in Amityville, whenever Margot Kidder like wakes up, and it's always like 2:30 something in the morning, and the creepy shit starts happening.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that was so weird that this movie was doing that too.
The other thing, and we both noticed this, I thought this was cool. You probably didn't like it. Is
oh no, I thought this was cool too. If you're probably saying what you're gonna say,
you're looking at this wall of photographs, and you see fucking Liam Neeson, like, you know, not as a monster, and it's. I'm assuming that that's her grandfather.
That's it.
Yeah, it's Felicity Jones' dad and Louis McDonald's grandfather, and they kind of make some vague references to him earlier in the movie. I was so worried at the end of the scene, or at the end in the final scene, he was gonna look up and he was gonna see like that in that book it was gonna be Liam Neeson, and it's gonna be like whoa. But I didn't do that. It was like I applauded Bayona for making something subtle that most people wouldn't pick up on.
that's really only a clue if you know who Liam Neeson is. And so for this intended audience, it's not like you hear Liam Neeson as a grandpa talking. So that photograph is absolutely worthless to anybody who's just watching this.
Didn't want to pay another actor to pose.
That could have been
Well, no,
it.
it works if you understand who Liam Neeson is, and you're like, oh, like it kind of helps that the spirit of his grandfather is coming through.
But most people know who Liam
Yeah, I think
Neeson is.
Yeah.
But I think it's
I didn't
works.
catch it, and I know who Liam Neeson is.
Yeah.
It's a very
I was wondering why
small.
you were going.
It's a very small, blurry photograph, but you can obviously tell it's like Love Actually Liam Neeson.
I thought he did a great vocal performance.
Oh, so did I.
Like, I think this might be my favorite vocal performance since Scarlett Johansson in Her.
How do you think this compares with Aslan?
I've never seen Chronicles of Narnia.
Seriously? That's a good fucking movie.
I don't know, okay, whatever. I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah.
The thing is, like,
He's a fucking lion
I mean,
who
that's,
plays Jesus.
I think there's a difference between like an actor like just voicing a character, and you can have like these fun voicing, you know, like Bradley Cooper's Rocket Raccoon is super fun.
Yeah.
But then there's sometimes like where you give a vocal performance that actually like conveys a lot of emotion, and I felt that he did that in this movie.
No, voice acting and acting on screen are two completely different important talents.
I
will actually put Bradley Cooper in the secondary category because I didn't know it was Bradley Cooper. And typical British sad kid. He's a loner. He's an artist. He gets bullied at school because the plot says he needs to be bullied. 1207 happens. The tree dude comes by and he says, I'm going to tell you 3 stories over 3 separate nights.
Yeah.
And
the stories are cool.
whenever I'm done with my stories, the 4th story you're going to tell, and it's going to be your truth. Will Smith has nothing on the way Liam Neeson says truth, because Liam Neeson will literally shake the truth out of your fucking spine.
The common theme of all 3 of these stories is they're all subverting your expectations. I think this is why I like this movie, because I like things when they kind of subvert what you'd expect, and that's kind of, I think, the point of the movie.
Yeah, but I think whenever the movie does this once, like you played your trump card and then you're looking for a twist. So when I was watching the first story, and Liam Neeson is a great storyteller, so he'll sell you on this idea that like this bitch step queen like poisoned the fucking king, and then she's gonna kill the prince to gain the throne. The prince falls in love with this chick, and then he wakes up and he's got her fucking blood on his hands. And the way they animate this kind of reminds me of something out of the last Harry Potter movie.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
It was a really cool design, and that's kind of the best part of this movie is just watching these little storybook designs that feel like they're being drawn with like magic pencil and paint, and you can see the ink bleed all over the page.
It felt kind of Princess Bride.
Yeah, his girlfriend fucking dies, and then the idea is that the monster helped and took the queen away. But the twist is that the prince killed the girl that he loved and blamed it on the queen so he could usurp the throne for his own power. And it turns out that was a good move because he was a better ruler anyway, and it turns out he led the kingdom to prosperity until he died. And once that twist happened, I was like, oh shit, okay, that's fucking new.
This movie's laying down the truth. Felicity Jones is really good too, but she's not actually in the movie all that much.
Not a lot, because you know she has.
She's better in this than she is in Rogue One.
I will say she's got pretty good cancer makeup on.
Some of the trailers are like, this kind of looks like Dirty Grandpa, but like,
Did you just compare Felicity Jones's cancer to Robert De Niro fucking yelling boners and shit?
No, it's Johnny Knoxville.
That's bad, Grandpa, you idiot.
Both this and Rogue One, and ironically Inferno, which came out last year, all three movies, she has a lot of like kind of on the nose sort of dialogue.
Yeah.
But in this movie, I think she handled it the best. Like, it was sort of the same thing that I felt with like Nicole Kidman in Lion, where it's like the dialogue is but she really makes it work for the scene.
I always feel like she's more sensitive and heartfelt. And
Yeah, like making her like a hard ass in Rogue One.
yeah, that's a bad casting, especially because they didn't write her well enough. Can we talk about how this kid is a burgeoning psychopath?
He's going through a stressful time in his life.
Okay, there are parts of this movie whenever you're seeing this kid deal with his problems, and it looks like you're watching the beginning of Friday the 13th. There's a scene where he's talking to the tree, and the tree brings him to this image of a house that they're constantly looking at the movie.
It's in the second story.
He's asking the kid, tell me what to destroy, and the kid's like, snap the chimney. Liam Neeson breaks the chimney. He goes, break the furniture, break the walls, break everything. And then he goes, break the windows. Liam Neeson hands him a stick and goes, do it yourself.
Yeah.
So the kid starts bashing all this shit.
Yeah.
Once this is over, it cuts to the living room, and literally everything in the living room is destroyed to fucking shreds.
At the beginning, like, Sigourney Weaver's just like this materialistic like asshole, so I kind of like liked it, getting to see like all of her shit get like fucking destroyed.
There is one point whenever Sigourney Weaver comes back after telling the kid don't touch anything, and she sees all the shit broken. That is my favorite part, because there is a point in there where I legit thought she was gonna like take out a belt and like beat him within an inch of his life.
Yeah.
Because that's what I would have done.
You don't understand, like, if you know, she's sort of shocked, but it's also like, you know, it's hard for her to get mad at this kid because his mom has cancer.
Fuck you! I hope your mom gets shit. This kid's like, are you not gonna punish me? And then they're like, what's the purpose in that? I'm like, you did something wrong.
But then they address that at the end of the movie when
I understand at the ending that he shouldn't be punished for something that's not his fault, but he literally destroys other people's property.
He could have coped a bit better.
Yeah, but it's also like
Or his grandmother could have not been a bitch and helped him through a difficult time.
Toby Kebbell doesn't punish him because he's like a shitty dad. He doesn't know how to handle like tough situations. That's why he left.
That's why he moved across the world.
Yeah, that's why he like
That's why he divorced Felicity Jones and hooked up with some
So
other
did he
chick.
like divorce her when she was getting sick, or did they ever address that?
I don't fucking...
It's just like, oh,
I mean,
he's
this
gonna
dude's an
die.
asshole, but he's
Yeah.
not Newt Gingrich. Like, what the fuck?
So all throughout the movie, Liam Neeson's been hinting that the kid's gonna have to tell him the nightmare, that his truth. Been seeing just little glimpses of the kid's nightmare, and you know it's his fucking mom that he ends up letting go into a dark abyss.
But don't you
pit
see
of
that
death.
at the beginning? Don't you see like her face in some of the earlier?
No.
I didn't feel like they were trying to shock you with like a twist. It
No,
was like,
of course not.
It was like that was like.
That's not the twist, though.
What
There
is the twist?
The twist is like whenever the kid's trying to, in his dream, because we've realized by now that Groot is Tyler Durden, like the kid's imagining all the shit that's
Oh yeah, that
happening to him.
was because they showed that from the beginning.
In the kid's nightmare, he sees that his mom is like collapsing into this cavernous abyss, and it's supposed to be a metaphor for her cancer and her death, and he's trying to hold on to her, and then she slips, and then she falls, and obviously dies. And Liam Neeson says something about, tell the truth! Whenever the kid finally speaks the truth, he yells, I let her go. Instead of trying to pull her up, even though he knew he could hold on longer, he just let go and let her die. The emotional truth at the end is that the kid kind of wants the pain and suffering to end.
Yeah.
Even if that means he loses his mom.
Right.
And the kid thinks that he needs to be punished because he feels that way, and he feels it's a selfish thought. Sometimes you can't get a satisfying resolution emotionally because, you know, you don't want to see someone suffer, but at the same time you don't want them to leave. It's important for kids to learn.
I wouldn't take like a young kid to see. I'd take it like maybe like the age of this kid, so maybe like, you know, 12, 13. Because I feel like young kids wouldn't comprehend it.
The kids' movies that we grew up with, something like Land Before Time and Super Before Nim, that's
I know, but
inventive enough to carry you in.
But today kids just watch like Trolls and like Smurf Village or whatever.
Back then we watched Power Rangers and Pokemon. What's your point? There's always stupid shit for kids to watch.
Kids are getting dumber.
I don't think so.
I think
There's
they
always
are.
stupid shit for kids to watch, but there's stuff that doesn't try to talk down the kids and really kind of tries to help them out. Like Brad Bird's films are always like that.
Yeah.
They don't, they don't play dumb, but it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
So the kid's drawn in because it's a kids movie, but
This
as you
did kind
go
of feel
back
kind
again,
of Iron Giant-y.
oh yeah, definitely. Kid's mom dies, and he says, "I don't want you to go." And the idea is that, with the contradictions, like he let her go, but he's holding on because he
Yeah.
loves her. It's some Starburst bullshit. I don't know. And then the very, very ending happens, which I've heard a lot of people complain about this. I did not actually have a problem with the very ending of it.
I feel like you could have ended it a scene earlier, but it didn't like bother me. It wasn't like it's not like
It's totally a kids movie ending, which I felt appropriate. Sigourney Weaver has locked this room in her house, and the kid can't get in, but he wants to get in. She finally gives him the key, and it turns out that she was preparing his mom's old room for him, and she left up all the photos and all the memories from his mom, and one of them is her art book, all her art stuff from being a kid. And then he slowly starts seeing that the characters she was drawing were the characters in the stories that Groot was telling him.
Whoa.
And at the very end, you see like this little picture of what looks like her, and then a picture of what looks like her with the Groot. Maybe in his imagination there is some sort of supernatural
Well, I thought that
connective
like
tissue.
he was like all these events, the monster and stuff. He was remembering from when his mom was, showing these stories to him when he was a kid. Because you see that scene where Sigourney Weaver is watching the tape of Felicity Jones. I thought like, oh, she's sort of showing him these stories, and then
Is it
that's
the same book?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, and that makes sense. What the fuck, people?
This movie's adorable, so like,
I wouldn't call it that.
I thought it was adorable.
It's not adorable. His mom fucking dies, man.
That was adorable too.
Jesus Christ, you like him not moving, don't you?
So if you scroll to the time code, welcome back to our non-spoiler thoughts on Monster Calls. So, Daniel, what did you think of Monster Calls?
As we're talking about this, I think that this movie isn't necessarily for me, but not for any reason that would make it, like, not recommendable. Because I think for little kids, it's a good starting point for smarter, more emotionally powerful kids flicks, and it helps children deal with the realities of grief and loss. This had a strong visual style,
Yeah.
and I did enjoy the storybook aspect
Special
of
effects
it.
Oscar, I think. Nomination?
Nah, it's pretty good. I recommend it. Just solid 3.5. Like, I didn't necessarily like it, but I know a lot of people that watch this. I think they're gonna dig it.
It wasn't bad, but it's definitely something I would just put on the background while you're doing something more important.
In the cancer ward, might as well just turn on the movie. Oh, Liam
Yeah,
Neeson's a
seriously,
tree.
This is something I would watch in the hospital bed.
Can you imagine one of your last sights before you die of cancer is, oh fuck, Liam Neeson's a tree? Now I've seen
Rock
everything.
bottom, here we come.
Stop.
I give it a good halfway point of 3.
Okay.
Be honest. I was close to 5.5.
Really?
Wow.
I want to give this 5.5, but there's some dumb shit in here. Like the bully was like.
There is some-
As much as I want to give this a 5.5 because I really enjoyed it, as a reviewer, I'm gonna have to give this a 5 out of 6.
HK verdict is right there. If you like this video, please click on the like button below. Also, if you want to be the first to find out when new content arrives, subscribe. We got Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages, links all located below. Thank you all very much for watching. Y'all take care and have a good night. See ya.